Hey there, everybody. Sherm here, the Crazy Asian. Thought I'd share with you kind of a little bit of a breakdown of 7 habits of highly effective people, and more importantly, share with you how the family kind of got together and we're kind of brainstorming how we want to be able to approach this. So, for those of you who haven't had a chance to read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it focuses on really the first part is really having a shift in your mindset. So, one of the examples that he uses is that he'll show if he's in a conference room, he'll show one side of the room a picture of a young profile of a person, and then on the other side, an older person, and then he'll hold up a composite picture that has actually both inside that picture. And it's amazing how often those that see that young folks, the young woman sees that in the picture, and those on the old see that. And so you really, they start debating. And a lot of times though, the moment that you explain to them where you can see each one, each person has that kind of aha moment where they realize it's not one or the other, it's both. And so really that's where Stephen R. Covey starts the book, is really thinking about the change in your paradigm is the phrase that he uses, and the changing of your perspective, and understanding that because of your life experiences, you have a certain perspective, and the need to change that, and the need to be able to open up that perspective. Maybe not necessarily change your perspective, but open it up, that it might not just be only one way to see the world and see different situations and scenarios. So then the 7 habits are: number one is to be proactive. Number two is to begin with an end in mind. Number three, I'm going to look at my notes here, is to put first things first. Then it's to think win-win. And then to seek first to understand, synergize, and then sharpen the saw. And so when you think about being proactive, it's about getting in front of things before they become a problem or before they kind of expire. So it's definitely getting away from procrastinating out your day. Number two is to begin with the end in mind, thinking about where do I want to go and how do I get myself to that ideal scenario or even an ideal situation or a better situation. And then when we're able to put first things first, it's really about prioritization. It's the old calendaring strategy of putting in rocks, and then the little pebbles, and then the sand, and then the water. Versus a lot of times people have a tendency to, see what's going to come later. And then thinking win-win, it's really thinking beyond um, how do you win in this scenario, or how do they win in this scenario, and then we got to compromise. But maybe there's a third door. Maybe there's a different solution that we both haven't thought of that we both can win at. And then number five is first seek to understand. That one's really important in communication. Sometimes we're so used to just the one-way conversation, we actually don't listen. People don't feel heard because we're just waiting to talk. And so I find that, we're given 2 eyes, 2 ears, and only one mouth. So it really should be using that ratio of being able to really actively listen to what's going on in conversations. Synergize or synergy is the idea that 1+1 = 3, or that, if you get two ox that are pulling a cart, individually they'll pull a certain weight, but together they actually pull an even bigger weight, especially if they're given a harness, or to be able to then, they're yoked equally, even though they might be different sizes. And then the last one is sharpening the saw, taking the time to be able to make sure that you're giving yourself an opportunity to feel comfortable. Might be your mental health, might be your physical health, your spiritual health, looking at ways that make sure that you're in harmony with what's going on. And that, I think, constantly is changing. And so being able to make sure that you're sharpening your saw on a regular basis is crucial. I often tell my sons and daughter that, okay, watching one movie's good, watching 5 of them in a row, not as good. And so there could be like one basketball game, watching name the team, watching them play for 3 hours might be helpful and, sharpening your saw, relaxing, but watching, 12 hours of it on a Saturday might not be really sharpening the saw.